Hello guys, welcome back to Legacy Inventor Technologies tutorial video. As promised, we are going to do the tutorial for the Autodesk Inventor Studio animation. I'm pretty sure some of you have already watched my previous videos. So this is what I promised, the tutorial. Now, before we go ahead and do the tutorial, I would like to give some credit to Joe Amar, because all of these parts and this whole assembly is created by him, Mr. Joe Amar. Now, how do I get this assembly? I downloaded it from grabcat.com. You can actually just go to grabcat.com and find a lot of interesting parts and assemblies from Inventor, SolidWorks, and any other 3D softwares available. Okay, let's go about it. Now, in order to create our animation, of course, we're gonna have to be in assembly. It can be part file as well, but there will be a very limited animation that we can do. With assembly, there's a lot of things that we can do. I mean, we are talking about exploding your products. It's not exploding kaboom, that's it, not like that. Okay, what I'm talking about is how do you show people on how does this assembly gonna be assembled together. Okay, you want to show to the people what is the inside part of your assembly and so on. Okay, so right now we are just going to go to the environment. Just click on the environment tabs and then click Inventor Studio. Right, my PC is being good to me right now. There's no lagging, not yet, I suppose. Okay, so this is the Autodesk Inventor Studio environment, where you can see we have this render tab, render panel, scene, animate, manage, and exit. Okay, inside the render you can see render image, view last, render animation. So this is what we are going to do now in this tutorial. Okay, very good. Okay, right, so we are going to use render animation. But before that, before we go ahead and render animation, there are some settings, there are things that we need to do first in order to render the animation. Okay, the next one is scene. You can set the studio lighting styles, the camera, okay, local lights, and this is the most important thing for this tutorial. Okay, this is where you animate your parts. It's either you animate component, you want to use you want to use fade animation, constraint animation, parameters animation, positional representations animation, and so on, right? And then you have parameter favorites. This is going to be covered in a different tutorial, so I'll create it for you, don't worry, I promise. But you have to subscribe me in order to, you know, just subscribe, click subscribe. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to do, okay, is to define where is our first view. Okay, in our video or in our animation, we need to define which view is going to be our first view. Means that when do you start your video, in which position or in which angle of camera that you want it to show your product. Okay, so in this case, as shown in the previous video, I use this view as my first view. So what I'm gonna do here is I'll just gonna go inside the browser and right click on the cameras, right click on the cameras and then create camera from view. What does that means? It means this is gonna be our first view. So I'll just create camera from view, and as you can see here, you'll have camera 1. Okay, all right, now I need to have an animation timeline. Right, so just click on animation timeline, and here we go. Now if you want to expand your animation timeline, you're gonna have to click this button here, expand action editor. All right, just click there, and whatever animation that you create will be recorded over here. Okay, now the first thing that we want to do here is to define how long is our animation gonna be. All right, just click on the animation options button and define the length of your animation. For this one, maybe I'll just make it 15 seconds. Right, you can define the velocity, whether you want to change the velocity of your animation, 20%, 60%, 20%. It's going to be 100% altogether. So you can just play around with this number. I'll just use the default setting. This is the default setting basically. Or you can actually use constant speed. Alright, you can play around with that. Okay, I'll just go ahead and click OK. And as you can see, my animation timeline here is set to be 15 seconds. Alright, now we can try with our first animation. I'll just collapse this action editor and I'll just change the view to camera 1. Okay, let me just show you what happened when I click camera 1. Let's say if I move the orbit around and then I select camera 1, we'll go back to camera 1 view. Remember just now when I say if you want to create a view from the camera, you just right click and then create camera from view. So I hope you understand, I hope you get what I mean, right? Now the next thing is I want to change the camera, means that the camera to move around our object. Okay, I'll just rotate or move this object over here, something like that. Okay, then this is gonna be my second view. So what I'm gonna do, I'll just click from here, add camera action. Okay, so now before that, truly sorry, before that you need to define the timeline for the camera to move from one point to the other point. So in this case, 0 is my starting viewpoint. At 5 seconds, okay, or maybe 4 seconds. Alright, around 4. Okay, I'll just set it to be 4. At 4 seconds in our animation timeline, on our animation timeline, I'm going to change this to this view. Zoom it a little bit, or I can just use this one. Alright, I don't have 3D mouse, so I'm using a normal mouse. Okay, this is going to be my second view, so I'll just click add camera action. What it's going to do here is it will record the view from the first viewpoint to the second viewpoint. Let's just go ahead and then expand this again. As you can see, from the from 0 second to 4 seconds on the animation timeline, this is our camera 1 view. So if I go back and move back like that, as you can see, it will move back to the initial state of, sorry, initial viewpoint. We can just play around with it. Let's just click play. Right, how's that? Okay, so we want to continue with this. Okay, we want to continue with different viewpoint. Okay, I'm gonna use this view as our third viewpoint. Of course, so I'll just go ahead around 8. Excuse me. This is my third viewpoint. Okay, and then 12. This first, second, third, fourth. Okay, this is fourth viewpoint. Okay, I think that will be enough. Oh no, the last one is what I can do. I'm gonna zoom in. Right, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit, something like that. You'll see what happened when we after we finish everything. Okay, oops, sorry. So that was our fourth view, and this is gonna be our last view. Okay, so with camera. Okay, if I expand this, sorry, if I make it a little bit bigger, as you can see, we have viewpoint number 1 at 0 second, viewpoint number 2 at 4th second, viewpoint number 3 at 8th second, and viewpoint number 4 is at 12th second, and 15th second is the last viewpoint. So I'll just go to start. Let's just collapse this first and play. Voila, how's that? Right, now there you go. All right, I love that zoom in kind of thing. Okay, now we are going to create a different type of animation. Okay, this time we are going to use component animate. Oh, sorry, animate components. Okay, or component animation. All right, so we are going to animate the component. Let's just set our timeline. Okay, again, I'll just move this one to this view, right? And I want to animate this component. Okay, these 3 component over here, right? Just select this part, this part, this part. Now I'm not pressing any control button to multiple select the parts, right? You can just select it straight away. You don't have to control select. Okay, and then what I do, okay, once we have defined the components that we want to animate, excuse me, we can just define where is the position that we want to move our object or our parts. So when I click position, it will go here, it will come out with these glyphs. So you can just pull out. Okay, I'll just click on the green arrow and then I pull it out. Okay, what it does, it will pull out the components that we have selected, right? And then straight away I can just click OK. Right, start duration, um, you can also define by distance. If you know the distance, okay, if you have the distance value of how far that thing's gonna offset from the original location, okay, you can just define it in. But what I did just now, I just pull it out, okay, without knowing what is the exact distance. You can define that, right? We're gonna leave the rotation and revolution. This is if you want to create a rotation and revolution. I'm gonna show you how we can use how we can define a rotation constraint, sorry, animation, okay, rotational animation, but not by using this one. I'll show you later, so just bear with me. Be there, stay there. All right, from start to end is a 4 seconds duration, right? So I'll just click OK. Right, there you go. Again, I'm gonna animate the other components on the other part of our assembly. So I just click component. So okay, see, I'm not pressing any control button. 1 2 3, so you don't have to press control. Usually you have to, right? Okay, if you want to select multiple objects in your drawing or multiple objects in your browser, you have to press control button, but not this time. Right, so again, this time, once we have selected the components, click on the position button, specify position button. Okay, these clips will again appear. So what you do, just move it outside like that, and it will move the parts outside. So okay, can't really see it from there, right? So I just move it here. Okay, so once you have done, or you can just edit it, right? You want to edit it a little bit. Okay, right, you can play around with it. Okay, you want to move to the forward, you can also move in the blue direction. It can be X, Y, Z direction, whatever direction that you want to. And once you are done, just click on the green tick mark. Click OK. Alright, so the duration is still 4 seconds. Because why? I have set it because I have set it as 4 seconds over here. I hope you can see my mouse. Or else you can just define it yourself. Okay, I'm just gonna click OK for this one. Right, we are done for this one. Okay, now the next one is we move our part to the second viewpoint. Okay, oh, I missed this part. Okay, now let's say if you miss some part, okay, you can either what you do is just select this part. Okay, now let me just go ahead and expand this one. Fence data case. Okay, if you know which part is this part is inside, so yes, right. Okay, let me just shift right click and then find in browser. This is compressors data case 2. Right, so what I'm gonna do, okay, just now I left it out when I select the part, the other parts. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now, okay, I just select that part and then I click animate component. I'm gonna do that again. Component, let's just go to camera 1. Where are you? All right, okay, component. All right, select this one, position. Okay, I'll just rotate this a little bit. As you can see, if I click on um, the blue, not the arrow, but on the line, okay, I can define a little bit of the rotation. Then I just move it around a little bit. So this one, just click OK, right? About 14 inches. Okay, click OK. Okay. Alright, so right now we are supposed to go to the 8th position. Okay, I think it's enough about we have already done a few component animation. Right now we want to try on how we can use a fade animation or animate fade. Okay, animate fade. Just click on the fade, or you can define first whatever parts that you want to fade. You want to fade in, you want to fade out. Alright, I want to fade this guy here, this part here, and this part. Okay, notice this time I press control button. Okay, or maybe you can just click fade and then straight away select this part, and this part without pressing control button. It's up to you how do you want to do it. Alright, I have already selected the components. Okay, start is 100%. Of course, you want to have 100% view of that object in the first place. At the end, you want to change it to maybe, let's say, let's just try 40%, see what happens. Okay, but this time I don't want it to be started from 0 second. Okay, I want to start from 4th second. So what I do, I click specify and then I define the start time at 4 seconds. Okay, the 4th second to 8th second, and then click OK. Right, can you see that? Now the three parts that I have selected has been faded out 40%. Faded out until 40%, not faded out 40%. Right, that's the difference there. If I if I fade it out 100% means you can't see anything, right? So it means that you fade it 100%, which means that you fade it to 0%, if you get what I mean. Whatever, Imran, just go along. Right, now the last thing is this. Okay, I want this fan to be rotating. That's gonna be cool, man. That's gonna be cool. Okay, before that, okay, I want everything to go back to its original location. Okay, I want the components to be moved back to the original location, and I want also whatever part that we have faded out. Is that the correct word? We have faded it out. We want it to come back into 100%, which means no fade. Right, so what I do, I'll just expand this action editor. Okay, as you can see, we have everything. Oops, there you go. Okay, we have everything now. So except for the camera. Okay, I'm gonna select, this is the animate component, and so on. So what I do, I'll just select while pressing the control button. I'll just select 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 parts or 8 animation on the timeline, right? I'm gonna right click on it, on any of it, okay, and click mirror. So what's gonna happen here is gonna mirror, um, it's gonna reverse uh, the process that we did just now. Means that last time, the first thing that we did was to animate the component outside from its original location, and now it mirrors back. Now it goes back to the original location. So that's why we use this mirror function. So I want this mirror function to be at the second. Oh, never mind. um, I'll just move this one to this timeline, right? From 8 second to 12 second. Or maybe not. Maybe I'll just reduce this one. Okay. Unfortunately, I can't select everything and reduce at the same time. So what I have to do is to click and reduce it one by one. So I'm gonna just reduce it to maybe 10.5 or just 10, right? Just 2 seconds for everything to go back to its original location. Sorry, go back to their original location. Da, 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 da. Okay, that's it. Or maybe we can just preview it first. Okay, let's just go ahead, click go to start, and then play and see what happens. So as you can see, while the object is rotating, or while the view is changing, everything expand and then go back to its original location. Okay, now if you notice, our object is still in the faded condition, so we have to mirror again. Okay, we just mirror the action or mirror the animation. So where are our fade animation? We have three here. Okay, combustor, exhaust nozzle, and turbine frame. So I'll just select this one, and this one. Okay, then select this one. Okay, this is for the camera. Okay, we just wanna mirror the fade animation. So right click on any of the three that we have selected, right click and then click mirror. And I think we have to move that thing to here as well. Okay, let's just try. Go to start, click play. Tup turup tup turup tup turup. Tak tung tuang, tak tung tuang. Yes, there you go. Okay. Alright, so this is my favorite part where we can animate as if showing that the fan is rotating. So how do we do that? Okay, in this case, I'm gonna use constraint animation or animate constraint. Okay, so in the first place, while you are creating this assembly, okay, you need to define the constraint. Okay, you need to constrain this fan to something else. To, in this case, right, let me just find the fan. Oh, not that one. Fan mk2. If I expand it, you can see I have created and defined the fan rotate angle constraint. Okay, now this is something that I'm going to show you in a different tutorial. Now you can just go on and click constraint and then click fan rotate. Okay, and you can define the angle of your rotation. How many rotation that you want to you want your fan to rotate. In this case, I'll just type in 3600 degree, which means that if I start at 0 degree, the fan will rotate about 10 times, 360 times 10 is 300, 3600 degree. Wow. Okay. um and of course we need to define the rotation. I'm not gonna start the rotation from 0. Okay. What I do, I'm gonna start it whenever we have the last view, when it zooms in. So there is where my my fan is gonna start rotating. So I'll just define this one at around, let's just check, 12, at the 12th second. Right, 200, 3600 degree. And I want to define the acceleration value to be constant speed. I'll just gonna use constant speed. Okay, click OK. All right, I hope I already defined the time frame for that. I'm gonna go back to start and try to take a look whether I did it right or not. Play. Toot, toot, toot. Right, fade in, fade out, fade in, fade out, and then rotate. Does it rotate? It doesn't seem like it rotates. Something wrong somewhere. Does it rotate or does it not? Let me just try to check again from here. Right, this is our fan rotate, about 12 seconds. I click play. Yes, yes, it does rotate. It does rotate. Okay. So now that we have done everything, okay, we have defined the we define the components animation, we define the fade component fade animation, and also the constraint animation. The next thing is to render it into video. So you can just click over here, record animation, or you can just click on the render animation. It's up to you. It will give you the same dialog box like this, right? So this is the render animation dialog box. First thing, you can define what is the width and height of your outcome or your video, right? For this exercise purpose, I'm gonna use 800 by 600. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. Okay, lighting style, I'm not gonna change it, or maybe we can change. Why not? Yeah, okay, no problem. All right, then the output, of course, our time frame is 15 seconds, so I'm gonna use 50. Well, I'm gonna use now 15 seconds. Okay, I'm gonna define it as 15-second time frame, or time range as they call it, right? This is where your video will be saved. Let's just change. Okay, yeah, I've done a few already. Okay, Build engine fully constrained. Excuse me for a while. Sorry guys, I got a call from my mama. Gotta answer that, don't you think? Okay, so we'll just the file name you can just put in anything. Okay, I'll just type in build engine fully constrained studio animation. Right. Okay, you can save as type, either select WMV or AVI. Usually I just select AVI. There's some explanation over that. You can just Google it. Okay, just click save, and okay, we have already saved the file to this location. Time range we define 0 to 15 seconds according to our animation timeline, 0 to 15. And then the frame rate. Okay, usually I define the frame rate as 25. Okay, 25 frames per second. This is what it means by frame rate. It means 25 frame per second. This is the optimal value of frame rate. But if you want to change or you want to try out, you can just select any other frame rate that you can select. Okay, in this case I'm not gonna use the rendering machine to really render, because that's gonna take a very long time. So what I do, I'll just click on the preview no render. But even though it says that it is a preview no render, it will still generate the video. You don't have to worry about that. It's just that will come out, the quality of the video is going to be something like this. It's not like the real life, the realistic object. Okay, so if you want to have a realistic kind of surface and everything, you're gonna have to uncheck this preview no render. Got that? Okay, let's just go to the next tab, which is the renderer. Okay, render by iteration. Now if I select no render, I don't have to go to the renderer. I'm gonna click render and fast forward this video because this is gonna take some time. All right, so just click render and wait for the rendering machine. Oh no, before that you need to define the video compression. Okay, so usually you will have this Microsoft Video 1 for your option. You can just select this Microsoft Video 1 as your video compression, and compression quality I'll just leave it as 75. All right, I'll just click OK, and it will start the rendering. Right, it's done. I even finished the whole book waiting for the rendering to finish. Good book. Jeffrey Good Thomas Sales Bibles. Good for salespeople if you want to try. Alright, so now that we have finished with the render, okay, you can select, you can just click save rendered image or if you want, but if you just go ahead and open your file explorer, and inside there you will find the video that we have just created. Okay, now that we have done everything, so we have rendered out our animation. um, the following video is going to show you what is our outcome. All right, so that is basically our tutorial for today. Click subscribe, leave your comments, and and see you next time. Bye.